Hi Planty people, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I wanted to do a twist. Everybody does DIY moss pole tutorials. Well, I have been loving colorful moss poles. And I always thought that I would never be the person to do a moss pole or to do a DIY, have that type of video because there are tons of them out there. But I recently saw one, Harley G has one, and I've seen some on Instagram before, and I've tried to purchase them, myself so that I could have some for some of my aeroids. But I wasn't able to purchase them, so I thought, what better way to have a colorful moss pole than to do one myself. Now this is literally just gonna be a trial and error. I have just a few things that I have picked up from like Michael's and Target and Home Depot, that type of thing. And it's actually quite cheap. So I hope that you guys enjoy. Probably, maybe if you got like one of everything that I got, it would probably cost about as much as like one moss pole. And you could probably make multiple using what I have gotten. So stay tuned, grab a snack. It might be a long one. Sorry, not sorry. But I've actually already got the process started a little bit. Otherwise, we would be here all day long. So let me show you. Okay, so these are going to be the things that you absolutely need. You need some twine or some fishing line, whichever one works for you. The only thing is that if you use twine and you're going to put your pole in some sort of terrarium or anything like that, this twine will develop mold. So that is something to look out for, as opposed to if you were using just like regular fishing line. I am using a PVC pipe. The reason why I'm using a pipe instead of wood is because of the exact same reason. I don't want it to create mold. I don't want it to break down. I think I'll just have better success overall with just a regular piece of pipe. And I think this cost me like $1.50 from Home Depot because they have a little section with this type of stuff already cut. And you also need to have some moss. Any type of moss will work. This is my favorite just because it's easy for me to find. It's $5. I always have this on hand. And then I picked up two different colors of fabric dye. One's called wine and one is purple, because I wanted to have a green or a blue, but they didn't really have either of those options over at Target, so I just settled with these two. I've got a spatula, you need some scissors, and you need to already pre-moisten your moss. So I've already got that pre-moistened, and yeah. One of the things that you have to do is, for the fabric dye to work, you need to have some sort of fabric bath or fabric wash. And that includes really, really hot water. So I've got my kettle going right over here. Originally, I was going to try and just dye everything in, a big bowl like this. However, whenever I was reading the instructions on the dye, it said that the fabric needs to be able to move. So we're going to be using the sink instead. Make sure it's stainless steel, or you're just using a plastic bucket or something like that, because otherwise it'll stain. Or make sure you're using something that you just really don't care about. So yeah, very excited about that.
We interrupt this program for some cat time.
Okay, so I know that this looks gross, but this is just the, from where I rinsed the moss earlier, and that's just like lingering around. If you can tell, I have really hot water going on because that's what the dye recommended, was essentially if you could get your water to 140 degrees, that's awesome. And I think it said like the hotter the better. And so at this point in time, I'm going to add in the purple dye. So now I'm gonna mix it all up really good. And make sure that you're using stainless steel or just like a regular type of, I know this is really, really bright, I'm sorry. So yeah, like my surface like really blows out the whole entire video, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, make sure you're using either stainless steel, something you don't care about, a plastic bucket, because it will stain anything that is porous. So now that I've got it all nice and stirred in, it would obviously be very recommended to be using gloves at this point, but yellow, I like to live life on the dangerous side apparently. I'm just going to add it in. Give this a nice good stir and just let the dye work its magic. All right, so the next step is to then stir this for 30 minutes until it has reached the desired color that we want. So Alexa, set an alarm for 30 minutes.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
Thank you, Alexa. You let me down once again. Okay guys, it's finally been 30 minutes. 30 minutes of constantly stirring this moss in the sink. I pulled up a chair so that I could watch some YouTube videos while I stirred. And it actually looks really, really freaking promising. So the next part is, because I don't have gloves, the next part is draining my sink and getting all the purple dye to go down. So I think that I'm going to just like ladle or take a spoon, grab all the moss out and distribute it into my bowl. Maybe that'll make it easier. Hopefully it does. That way, whenever I do get the plug to come out of the sink, that way all the moss doesn't just like go straight down the sink, because that would be horrible. And yeah, so let's see how that goes. Roll that beautiful bean footage. So I feel like because of the overexposure with my white countertop, it's kind of making it hard to see exactly the true color. And it is actually very, very purple, very plum, and I'm living for it. So I'm very, very sorry for all of the overexposure. But it looks really good now. I got the sink drained, it is not stained, yay. I heard that if you use alcohol-based dye, then that would be a completely different story. But yeah, it looks really good. Now the next step is to rinse it until it's clear, until the water runs clear, kind of similarly to like if you were doing tie-dye or even like dyeing your hair, you're rinsing the dye out. So stay tuned for the final result. So it is 2 days later. We went on a wild goose hunt for some other things, and we're back at it. I took the liberty of going ahead and making a practice moss pole. Fabrizio's being nice enough to film this for me. And okay, so I've got two colors dyed. I've got purple, and then I've got this nice, pretty pinky red that I went ahead and dyed off camera. And I wanted to show you guys how I'm going to put it together. Okay, so here's the mess from last time. So I want to mix just the regular in with the fun colors. That way, you know, the colors go a little bit longer. And you don't just use it all up at once. And this gets really, really messy, so be aware of that. Don't be afraid to get a little messy if you're going to be doing this. I think I'm going to add a little bit more color into this one because this one is still cool, and it's definitely dried out by now, but it's still really cool. But I think I want it to have a little bit more color, which is why I was glad that I practiced beforehand. I'm just gonna plop it on there really, and just kind of make a little bit of a mess. And don't forget to put it around on the bottom. I'm definitely by no means the best moss pole expert or anything like that, but I think that this will get the job done. Don't forget to leave a little bit of space for whichever side you want to be your bottom, so that way you can stick it into the soil easily. So I have it around about the way that I want it to look. So I just like to press it in a little bit. Oops. And it's okay if you miss a spot whenever you're wrapping it, because we'll just add a little bit of moss into those bare spots. But this is the part where we take our twine and we're going to tie a knot at the very base. And now we wrap. Okay, so now that I've wrapped the first time around, there's, a few spots that I want to patch up, but I also want to come down a little bit further onto this guy. Now I'm just going to continue wrapping. Now I'm just going to tie a quick little knot. So this kind of looks like a roundabout of what I want it to look like, except, there's a few like really scraggly pieces. Instead of just taking a lot of time and doing a lot of wrapping, I'm just gonna take my scissors and give it just a little bit of a trim. So that way you see like these little scraggly pieces, it just looks a little bit neater. So this is the tutorial for my colorful moss pole. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I'm really considering maybe doing some sort of giveaway or possibly selling these guys in the future. So definitely make sure you're following me on Instagram. I'll insert the handle somewhere down below for you guys to easily access it, and I'll put it in the description as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! You baby. Thank you. Maggie.